The construction timeline for the standard gauge railway that has to go through Isaka to the port city, Dar-es-Salam to Kigali. When are we expecting this to kick off?
Well, you know, from the meeting of our two heads of state, they committed and they instructed us, the two ministers in charge of transport, both in Rwanda and Tanzania, to ensure that before the end of this year, we would have laid commencement stone. So this is what we expect. We expect to have the construction at least to kick off before the end of this year.
Any maybe month we can work around?
Well, definitely due to a number of other activities which need to be done before we start the construction. So we have not yet set a significant date, but we think sometime in December it will be done.
Now, this is rather a hefty facility or infrastructure project that we're talking about. We're looking at the trains themselves. We're looking at the cargo terminals. We're looking at, you know, getting the project off the ground. So if maybe you could break it down in layman language, how much is Rwanda spending on this, and what are the funding, the modes of financement?
Well, as we speak now, we are still discussing on what would be the most suitable financing mode. We've been approached by different financing institutions across the world. The project has a lot of appetite on the market, so there will be different types of funding that will be decided. We've been having ministerial meetings both in Dar-es-Salam and here in Kigali, both at our technical level, which is the Minister of Transport, also finance ministers met, and they're expected to meet soon, so they will decide on the mode of on the financing.
Sure.
But if I speak mainly about how much it will cost Rwanda, well, from Isaka to Kigali, we had a feasibility study which is being reviewed now. We think it will cost around 2.5 billion. 2.5 billion USD, and Rwanda will have its part at around 1.2. Some people ask themselves why that, because Rwanda has around 150 kilometers compared to 250 kilometers in USA. That goes with specifically the terrains, because in Rwanda it's more hilly terrains which will need viaducts, which will need to pass in the swamps, which will need tunnels, and so on. That one makes it a bit expensive. So on the sharing parties, we are spending much more. We're spending around 1.2 billion US dollars, and Tanzania will be around 1.3 USD.
All right. Now that is very interesting. We've been talking to different stakeholders. We've been talking to businessmen that are currently operating in Rwanda in the special economic zone, and one of the key concerns to them is importing goods from either Kenya or from either Tanzania. And what comes up is like this 20-foot container is a lot expensive to even bring it into the country. So with the standard gauge railway going through Isaka to Kigali, how much do you think this is going to reduce on the cost? By how much, at least?
Oh, well, I mean, it will be really, this is a very important project for Rwanda specifically. It will be a landmark project. It will be really a deal breaker. It will change. It's a game changer, if I could call so. Because with the numbers we have now, it costs around, now as we speak, it costs around 4,000 US dollars per container if you pass by the central corridor. That's when you pass by Dar-es-Salam. And the cost can go up to 4,500 if you pass by Nairobi.
Northern corridor?
In the northern corridor. Now, with the preliminary studies we've seen, it will cost around 2,500 if the container were to come through the rail. So that's a significant reduction, which is around 40% reduction in terms of cost. So that's why we call it really a game changer. It will be very important for anyone for the country, both on import but also on exports. It's important. You need to look at the import but also on exports. Sure. Because Rwanda, as an landlocked country, like we are trying to increase the exports, but it's very difficult for our exports to be competitive if you add the transport cost, which is already high now. But as the transport cost goes down, so that means our products, our exported product, will be much more competitive on the market. So can you imagine from 42% cost reduction? It's a game changer. It will impact heavily on the economy, but positively.
Initially, Rwanda wanted to go through Nairobi, Kampala, and to Kigali. What happened to this deal?
Well, it's not initially. Both routes, both central and northern.
We're still on for the
both central and northern corridor projects were in plans, and they are still in the plans. But it all depends on how quick negotiation, because these are regional projects, it all depends on how quick negotiation moves on. For now, the negotiations with the Central Corridor, because obviously it involves two countries, is moving on quickly due to the instruction we received as ministers from our heads of state. But the Northern Corridor project is not yet left out. On the Rwanda side, for example, we have a design done, reviewed. And I think Kenya, you know, they have started to build. They have now a deal up to Naivasha. They are discussing other deals as well. Uganda, same thing. So it's not abandoned. It's a project which is still on, but the speed maybe is different depending on the negotiations which take place.